The Real Housewives of Potomac reunion never fails to bring the drama, but this season has taken things to a whole new level. Ever since the reunion trailer dropped, fans haven't stopped talking about one explosive moment: Dr. Wendy Osefo calling out Karen Hugger in a way that left everyone completely shocked. And believe me, this wasn't just another argument or offhand remark. Wendy went straight for Karen's credibility, challenging her honesty in a way no one saw coming. It all kicked off when Karen made a jaw-dropping confession. She shared something deeply personal, something that initially had the other housewives rallying around her in support. She opened up about the struggles she had been facing behind the scenes, the relentless pressure of being in the public eye, and how it had taken a serious toll on her. Her words were emotional, raw, and undeniably powerful. It felt like a rare moment of true vulnerability. But then, things took a sharp turn. Wendy wasn't convinced. She sat back, observed Karen as she spoke, and unlike the rest of the group, she didn't look the least bit moved. Instead, she looked skeptical, as if she were piecing something together in real time. And when she finally decided to speak, she shook the entire room. Wendy didn't pull Karen aside for a private conversation. She confronted her right then and there, on national television. Locking eyes with her, she asked the one question that changed everything. "Karen, why did you really do this?" The room fell silent. The other housewives exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of where this was going. Even Andy Cohen looked caught off guard. But Wendy wasn't finished. She broke down exactly why she doubted Karen's story, pointing out past inconsistencies, patterns, and a theory so shocking it left everyone speechless. And just like that, what started as a moment of support quickly turned into a full-blown interrogation. But what exactly did Wendy uncover? And why is she so convinced that Karen isn't being completely honest? Karen opened up about facing a difficult time, sharing personal struggles and hinting at both emotional and financial stress that had been weighing heavily on her. It was a rare glimpse of vulnerability from someone who usually keeps her guard up. The other housewives appeared to sympathize, offering words of encouragement. Even fans were moved, with many taking to social media to show their support for Karen. But Dr. Wendy Osefo wasn't convinced. Something about Karen's confession just didn't add up for her. Rather than immediately offering comfort like the rest, Wendy stayed silent, carefully observing. For those paying close attention, her body language spoke volumes. She wasn't buying it. Wendy has always taken pride in being sharp, analytical, and able to see through facades. And in that moment, it was clear she was onto something. Then came the bombshell. In a calm yet pointed tone, Wendy asked, "Karen, are you telling the truth? Or are you just controlling the narrative again?" Instantly, the energy in the room shifted. The housewives, who had been nodding in agreement just moments earlier, suddenly exchanged uneasy glances. Karen's expression faltered. For the first time, her confidence seemed to waver. For a brief second, it appeared as though she had been caught off guard. But Karen is no stranger to handling pressure, and she quickly worked to regain control of the conversation. She denied any dishonesty, insisting that her struggles were real and that she had nothing to hide. But Wendy wasn't backing down. She pushed further, pointing out inconsistencies in Karen's past statements. She reminded the group that Karen had a history of revealing information selectively, only when it worked in her favor, carefully shaping a version of events that maintained her image. And now, Wendy was suggesting she was at it again, playing the victim to shift focus away from something much bigger. This wasn't just a casual call-out. Wendy had done her homework. She brought up specific past instances where Karen's stories didn't quite line up. Moments when she had denied rumors only for the truth to emerge later. Wendy didn't hold back, questioning Karen's motives and suggesting that her emotional confession wasn't as sincere as it appeared. And the more Wendy spoke, the more the energy in the room shifted. Some of the housewives started shifting in their seats. Some looked like they were beginning to question Karen's story, while others seemed unsure about taking a side. But Karen wasn't about to back down without a fight. She clapped back, calling Wendy's accusations unfair and insisting she had nothing to prove. She accused Wendy of stirring up drama just for the sake of it, trying to frame her as the villain. But Wendy remained composed, refusing to let Karen dismiss her so easily. So, what exactly did Wendy expose? And why is she so convinced that Karen isn't telling the whole truth? Let's break it down, because this is where things took an unexpected turn. Wendy didn't just challenge Karen's story. She came prepared with receipts. The tension in the room was already thick, but the second Wendy presented her evidence, everything changed. "Karen, how many public crises have you been through?" Wendy asked, locking eyes with the grande dame. "And every single time, you find a way to make yourself the victim. Why should we believe you now?" Her words hit hard. The other housewives sat frozen in silence, their eyes darting between Wendy and Karen. Karen, who is usually quick on her feet with a response, seemed momentarily caught off guard. She started to say something, then stopped, as if calculating the best way to react. But Wendy wasn't about to give her that chance. She laid everything out, calling attention to past situations where Karen had managed to sidestep accountability. Whether it was the speculation around her marriage, the rumors about her father, financial concerns, or past allegations that had somehow vanished, Wendy painted a clear picture. Karen had a history of rewriting events in her favor. Wendy pressed on. "Let's talk about patterns," she said. "Karen, every time things start getting messy, you suddenly have a new crisis that turns you into the victim. And it works. Because we let it work." Karen finally snapped out of her initial shock and fired back. "I don't owe you an explanation for my personal struggles. You don't get to decide what's real and what's not." But Wendy wasn't finished. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice just enough to make everyone else lean in too. "So you're saying this breakdown wasn't just another distraction?" And that's when the real bombshell dropped. Wendy claimed that Karen's emotional confession, the one that had moved so many people, wasn't as spontaneous as it appeared. According to her, it was a calculated move, carefully designed to shift the focus away from something much bigger. So what exactly was Karen trying to keep hidden? Wendy wasn't revealing all the details just yet, but she made one thing clear. There was something happening behind the scenes, and Karen didn't want anyone digging too deep. "I know you, Karen," Wendy said, "and I know when you're playing a game. The accusations were ruthless." Wendy implied that Karen had been concealing major financial troubles. She suggested that Karen's loyalty, whether in her friendships or even her marriage, wasn't as solid as she wanted people to believe. And then came the biggest shock of all. "Karen, you're not the victim here," Wendy declared. "You're the puppet master, and I think it's time everyone sees the truth." The room fell completely silent. The other housewives weren't just watching another dramatic confrontation. They were beginning to realize that this moment could change everything. Had Wendy just exposed the season's biggest scandal? Karen's face was unreadable, but one thing was certain. The Grande Dame's carefully constructed image had just taken a serious hit. But Karen wasn't about to let Wendy tear her down without a fight. The moment Wendy accused her of manipulating the narrative, something in Karen shifted. The cool, composed Grande Dame was gone, replaced by a woman ready to defend herself at all costs.